Hello everyone, staying calm and composed when faced with disrespect is one of the most important skills you can develop to navigate challenging interactions. In moments of conflict, your ability to remain centered and thoughtful allows you to maintain control over the situation rather than being swept away by emotions. Disrespect can provoke feelings of anger, frustration, or even sadness, and these emotional responses can cloud your judgment if you let them take over. By cultivating calmness, you can respond in a way that preserves your dignity and strengthens your position in any given situation. When someone disrespects you, the initial reaction is often a surge of emotion, whether it be anger or indignation. This is a natural response, as disrespect can feel like a direct attack on your self-worth. However, acting on this emotional impulse can lead to actions or words you may later regret. For example, raising your voice, making harsh statements, or engaging in a heated argument might temporarily make you feel better but can escalate the situation or harm your reputation. Remaining calm enables you to take a step back and approach the situation with a clear head. Instead of reacting impulsively, you have the chance to consider your next steps carefully, ensuring that your response aligns with your values and desired outcomes. One way to remain calm when faced with disrespect is to practice mindfulness. This involves staying present in the moment and observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. When you notice a surge of anger or frustration, take a deep breath and focus on the physical sensations of your body. This simple act can ground you and create a pause between the stimulus, the disrespectful behavior, and your response. During this pause, you can remind yourself that the other person's behavior does not define you or your worth. By staying mindful, you can avoid being pulled into a reactive state and instead choose to respond thoughtfully. Another helpful technique is reframing the situation in your mind. Instead of viewing the disrespect as a personal attack, consider the possible motivations or circumstances behind the other person's behavior. While this doesn't excuse their actions, it can help you depersonalize the situation and approach it with empathy. For instance, the person being disrespectful might be dealing with stress, insecurity, or a lack of awareness about how their words or actions affect others. Recognizing that their behavior may stem from their struggles can make it easier to stay composed and avoid taking their words or actions to heart. Building emotional resilience is another key aspect of staying calm in the face of disrespect. Emotional resilience involves developing the inner strength to handle adversity and maintain a sense of balance. One way to build this resilience is by regularly engaging in practices that promote emotional well-being, such as meditation, journaling, or engaging in activities that bring you joy. The more grounded and emotionally secure you feel in general, the less likely you are to be thrown off balance by a moment of disrespect. It's also important to remember that staying calm does not mean suppressing your feelings or ignoring the disrespect. On the contrary, acknowledging your emotions and validating your experience is an essential part of maintaining your composure. Allow yourself to feel whatever emotions arise, but choose to process them in a healthy way rather than letting them dictate your behavior. For example, you might take some time after the interaction to reflect on what happened. Talk it over with a trusted friend, or write about your feelings in a journal. Processing your emotions in this way can help you release any lingering negativity and approach future interactions with a clear mind. Your body language can also play a significant role in maintaining composure. Even if you feel upset internally, adopting an open, confident posture can help you project calmness and self-assurance. Stand tall, keep your shoulders relaxed, and maintain steady eye contact with the other person. Avoid crossing your arms or displaying other defensive gestures, as these can make you appear closed off or confrontational. By consciously choosing to present yourself in a calm and confident manner, you can influence the tone of the interaction and set the stage for a more constructive conversation. In addition, effective communication is crucial when handling disrespect. Instead of reacting with hostility or shutting down, try to express yourself in a calm and assertive manner. Use I statements to communicate your feelings without placing blame. For example, you might say, "I feel disrespected when you speak to me in that tone," rather than accusing the other person with a statement like, "You're always rude to me." This approach reduces the likelihood of the other person becoming defensive and increases the chances of resolving the issue amicably. Practicing self-awareness is also key to staying calm and composed. Take the time to understand your triggers and recognize patterns in your responses to disrespect. Are there certain types of comments or behaviors that particularly upset you? By identifying these triggers, you can prepare yourself to respond more calmly when they arise. For example, if you know that condescending remarks tend to bother you, you might rehearse a neutral response in advance, such as calmly stating, "I'd appreciate it if we could speak to each other with respect." Finally, staying calm and composed in the face of disrespect is an act of self-respect. It demonstrates that you value yourself enough not to let someone else's negative behavior dictate your actions or emotions. By remaining composed, you maintain control over your narrative and show that you are capable of handling difficult situations with grace and strength. This not only enhances your self-esteem, but also earns the respect of others who witness your ability to rise above negativity. In conclusion, staying calm and composed when confronted with disrespect is a powerful skill that requires mindfulness, self-awareness, and emotional resilience. By pausing to reflect, reframing the situation, and responding with confidence and clarity, you can protect your well-being and foster more constructive interactions. In doing so, you uphold your own values and set an example of dignity and respect for those around you. Setting boundaries clearly is an essential practice for maintaining healthy relationships and safeguarding your emotional well-being. Boundaries define what is acceptable and unacceptable in how others treat you, helping to establish mutual respect and ensuring that your personal needs are met. When boundaries are not clearly communicated, misunderstandings, frustrations, and conflicts can arise, leading to a sense of dissatisfaction or even resentment in your interactions. By taking the time to articulate your boundaries in a firm yet respectful manner, you create a foundation for healthier and more balanced relationships. One of the most important aspects of setting boundaries is recognizing your own needs and limits. Before you can communicate your boundaries to others, it's important to have a clear understanding of what you are comfortable with and what you are not. This requires self-reflection and an honest assessment of your feelings, priorities, and values. Ask yourself what behaviors or actions from others make you feel uncomfortable or disrespected, and identify the conditions under which you feel most at ease. By clarifying these points for yourself, you gain the confidence and clarity needed to express your boundaries effectively. Communicating boundaries can be challenging, especially if you are not accustomed to asserting yourself or if you fear upsetting others. However, it is crucial to remember that setting boundaries is not about controlling or punishing others. It is about protecting your own well-being and fostering healthier interactions. When communicating your boundaries, aim for a tone that is assertive but not aggressive. Assertiveness means expressing your needs and expectations clearly and confidently, without belittling or blaming the other person. For example, instead of saying, "You're always so disrespectful," you might say, "I feel disrespected when I'm interrupted, and I would appreciate it if we could let each other finish speaking during conversations." Clarity is another key factor in effectively setting boundaries. Ambiguous or vague statements can lead to confusion and make it difficult for others to understand what you need. Be specific about your expectations and provide concrete examples when possible. For instance, rather than saying, "I need more space," you could say, "I need an hour of uninterrupted time each evening to focus on my personal projects." The more precise you are, the easier it is for others to understand and respect your boundaries. It's also important to recognize that setting boundaries is a two-way street. While it is your responsibility to communicate your needs, others may not always respond in the way you hope. Some people might resist or challenge your boundaries, especially if they have become accustomed to overstepping them in the past. In such cases, it is important to stand firm and reaffirm your boundaries without becoming defensive or hostile. Consistency is key. If you waver or allow exceptions to your boundaries, others may interpret this as a signal that your boundaries are not serious or that they can be ignored. At times, you may encounter individuals who persist in disrespecting your boundaries despite your best efforts to communicate them. In these situations, it may be necessary to take additional steps to enforce your boundaries. This could involve limiting your interactions with the person, seeking support from a trusted friend or mentor, or in some cases, distancing yourself entirely from the relationship. While it can be difficult to take such measures, It is important to prioritize your own mental and emotional health. Remember that setting boundaries is an act of self-care, and it is not selfish to protect yourself from harmful or disrespectful behavior. In addition to communicating your boundaries to others, it is also important to respect the boundaries that others set for you. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, and honoring the limits set by others demonstrates your commitment to fostering a positive and balanced dynamic. When someone communicates a boundary to you, listen attentively and acknowledge their needs without judgment. If you are uncertain about their expectations, ask for clarification to ensure mutual understanding. By respecting the boundaries of others, you set an example of respect and create an environment in which your own boundaries are more likely to be honored. Practicing self-compassion is another important aspect of setting boundaries. It is natural to feel guilty or anxious when asserting yourself, especially if you are worried about how others will react. However, it is important to remind yourself that setting boundaries is not a form of rejection or selfishness. It is a necessary step in maintaining your well-being and ensuring that your relationships are healthy and fulfilling. Be kind to yourself and recognize that it takes courage to stand up for your needs and communicate your limits. Over time, setting boundaries can become a more intuitive and natural part of your interactions. As you gain confidence in expressing your needs and enforcing your limits, you may find that your relationships improve and that you feel more empowered and at ease in your interactions. Others are more likely to respect you when they see that you respect yourself enough to set and uphold clear boundaries. In addition, by modeling healthy boundary-setting behavior, you may inspire others to do the same in their own relationships, contributing to a culture of mutual respect and understanding. In conclusion, setting boundaries clearly is a vital practice for building healthy relationships and protecting your emotional well-being. By understanding your needs, communicating them assertively, and standing firm in the face of resistance, you can create a foundation of respect and balance in your interactions. While it may take time and effort to develop this skill, the rewards are well worth it, as clear boundaries allow you to cultivate relationships that are both fulfilling and respectful. When faced with disrespect or criticism, it is natural to feel hurt, offended, or even angry. These reactions often stem from interpreting the behavior as a personal attack, as if the other person's actions are a direct reflection of your worth or character. However, one of the most liberating perspectives you can adopt is to not take such behavior personally. Learning to detach yourself from the negative actions or words of others allows you to maintain your composure, protect your emotional well-being, and respond to situations more thoughtfully. One important realization is that other people's behavior often says more about them than it does about you. Disrespect, rudeness, or unkindness is frequently rooted in the other person's own issues, such as stress, insecurity, frustration, or a lack of emotional awareness. For example, someone might lash out in anger because they are having a bad day or feel overwhelmed by their own problems. While their behavior may be directed at you, it is not necessarily caused by anything you did. Understanding this distinction can help you detach from their actions and avoid internalizing their negativity. Detaching from the actions of others does not mean ignoring or condoning disrespectful behavior. Instead, it involves recognizing that their behavior is not a reflection of your value or self-worth. When someone speaks or acts disrespectfully, it is their choice and their responsibility. You have the power to decide how you interpret and respond to their behavior. By not taking it personally, you reclaim control over your emotional responses and refuse to let someone else's negativity dictate your mood or self-perception. One way to practice not taking things personally is to develop a strong sense of self-awareness and self-worth. When you have a clear understanding of your own values, strengths, and intentions, you are less likely to be shaken by external criticism or negativity. For instance, if you know you did your best on a project at work and a colleague dismisses your efforts, you can remind yourself that their opinion does not diminish the effort and dedication you put into your work. Building self-confidence and practicing self-affirmation can serve as a buffer against the impact of negative behavior from others. Perspective taking is another valuable tool in detaching from personal interpretations of disrespect. By considering the broader context of the situation, you can shift your focus away from yourself and toward understanding the possible motivations behind the other person's actions. For example, If a friend cancels plans abruptly and seems dismissive, you might initially feel hurt or undervalued. However, upon reflection, you might realize that they are dealing with stress, fatigue, or personal challenges that have nothing to do with you. Viewing the situation from their perspective can help you approach the interaction with empathy rather than defensiveness. It's also helpful to establish clear boundaries around your emotional energy. When you take someone's behavior personally, you allow their actions to infiltrate your mental and emotional space, often leading to unnecessary stress or self-doubt. By setting a boundary, you can remind yourself that their behavior is theirs to own, and you are not obligated to internalize it. For instance, if a stranger makes a rude comment, you might choose to mentally dismiss it rather than replaying it in your mind or letting it ruin your day. This mental boundary acts as a protective shield, allowing you to maintain your peace of mind. Practicing emotional detachment does not mean becoming indifferent or uncaring. It simply means cultivating the ability to observe your emotions without letting them control you. When you feel hurt or offended, acknowledge those emotions rather than suppressing them. By naming what you feel, whether it's sadness, anger, or frustration, you create a space to process your emotions constructively. Once you have acknowledged your feelings, remind yourself that the other person's behavior is not a reflection of your worth. This process allows you to release the negative emotions and move forward with clarity and confidence. Another important aspect of not taking things personally is to avoid making assumptions. Often, when someone behaves disrespectfully, we interpret their actions based on our own fears or insecurities. For example, if a colleague speaks curtly to you during a meeting, you might assume they are angry with you or dissatisfied with your work. However, their tone might simply reflect stress or distraction unrelated to you. By refraining from jumping to conclusions, you give yourself the opportunity to approach the situation with curiosity and seek clarity if needed. Asking open-ended questions, such as, "Is everything okay?" can help you better understand the situation without taking it personally. Forgiveness also plays a role in detaching from personal interpretations of disrespect. Holding on to anger or resentment can weigh heavily on your emotional well-being, even if you believe the other person was in the wrong. Forgiving does not mean excusing bad behavior, it means freeing yourself from the emotional burden of carrying negative feelings toward the other person. By letting go of resentment, you allow yourself to move forward with greater peace and positivity. Practicing mindfulness can also help you remain grounded and avoid taking things personally. Mindfulness encourages you to focus on the present moment and observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. When faced with disrespect, take a deep breath and remind yourself that you have the power to choose how you respond. Mindfulness helps you create a mental pause between the stimulus, the disrespectful action, and your reaction, allowing you to approach the situation with greater awareness and intentionality. Ultimately, not taking things personally is an act of self-care and self-preservation. It allows you to maintain your emotional balance, protect your self-esteem, and focus on what truly matters. While it may take practice to cultivate this mindset, the benefits are profound. By letting go of personal interpretations of others' behavior, you free yourself from the weight of unnecessary negativity and gain the clarity and confidence to navigate challenging interactions with grace. Addressing the issue directly is a powerful and effective way to handle disrespect or misunderstandings in any relationship, whether personal or professional. Confronting the issue head-on allows for open communication, fosters mutual understanding, and often prevents the situation from escalating further. While addressing an issue directly can feel uncomfortable or intimidating, especially if you fear conflict or rejection, it is a necessary step to resolve problems and maintain healthy boundaries. When approached with respect and clarity, direct communication can lead to positive outcomes and strengthen relationships. The first step in addressing an issue directly is to clearly identify the behavior or situation that needs to be discussed. Before initiating a conversation, take time to reflect on what happened, how it made you feel, and why it is important to address. Clarity in your own mind helps you articulate your thoughts effectively during the discussion. For example, if a colleague consistently interrupts you during meetings, you might identify that the interruptions make you feel undervalued and hinder your ability to contribute. Understanding the specific impact of the behavior allows you to communicate your concerns more meaningfully. When addressing the issue, timing is critical. Choosing the right moment to have the conversation increases the likelihood of a productive and respectful exchange. Ideally, the discussion should take place when both parties are calm, and there is enough time to talk without distractions. Avoid confronting the issue in the heat of the moment when emotions are running high, as this can lead to reactive or defensive responses. Instead, wait until you can approach the conversation with a clear and composed mindset. For example, if an incident occurs during a busy workday, you might say, "Can we talk about something that's been on my mind later when we both have a moment?" How you frame the conversation also plays a significant role in its success. Approaching the discussion with an attitude of openness and respect sets a positive tone and reduces the likelihood of defensiveness from the other person. Start by expressing your intention to address the issue constructively and emphasize your desire for a healthy resolution. Using I statements is a helpful strategy to communicate your feelings without sounding accusatory. For example, instead of saying "You're always rude to me," you might say, "I felt hurt when you spoke to me in that tone during our last conversation." This approach focuses on your experience rather than placing blame, making it easier for the other person to listen and understand your perspective. It's also important to be specific about the issue you are addressing. Vague or generalized statements can create confusion and make it difficult for the other person to understand what needs to change. Be clear and concise about the behavior or situation that is bothering you, providing examples if necessary. For instance, instead of saying "You're not supportive," you could say, "I felt unsupported when you dismissed my idea during the meeting without discussing it further." Specificity helps the other person understand your concerns and provides a concrete basis for the conversation. Active listening is a critical component of addressing an issue directly. Once you have expressed your concerns, give the other person the opportunity to share their perspective without interrupting or judging them. Listening with an open mind demonstrates respect and a willingness to understand their point of view. It also helps you gain insight into their intentions or motivations, which can shed light on the underlying causes of the issue. For example, you might discover that their behavior was unintentional or influenced by external factors you were not aware of. Acknowledging their perspective, even if you don't agree with it, creates a foundation for constructive dialogue. While it is important to be respectful and understanding, addressing the issue directly also requires assertiveness. Assertiveness involves standing up for your needs and expressing your expectations clearly and confidently. Avoid minimizing your concerns or apologizing unnecessarily for bringing up the issue, as this can undermine the seriousness of your message. Instead, state your boundaries firmly and communicate what you need to move forward. For example, you might say, "I'd appreciate it if we could agree to give each other uninterrupted time to speak during our conversations." Sometimes addressing an issue directly may involve asking for clarification or seeking solutions collaboratively. Instead of making assumptions about the other person's intentions, ask questions to better understand their actions. For instance, you might say, "I noticed that you've been interrupting me during meetings. Can you help me understand why that's happening?" This approach invites dialogue and opens the door to finding a resolution together. Collaborating on a solution shows that you value the relationship and are committed to improving the dynamic. It's also essential to be prepared for various outcomes when addressing an issue. While some conversations lead to immediate understanding and resolution, others may require ongoing effort or result in disagreement. If the other person reacts defensively or dismissively, stay calm and reaffirm your commitment to open communication. Avoid being drawn into arguments or retaliatory behavior, as this can derail the conversation and exacerbate the issue. Instead, reiterate your concerns and, if necessary, take a step back to revisit the discussion later when emotions have settled. In cases where the issue remains unresolved despite your efforts, you may need to evaluate the relationship and consider additional steps. For example, if a colleague continues to disrespect your boundaries despite multiple conversations, you might involve a supervisor or HR representative to mediate the situation. In personal relationships, persistent disrespect may require you to reassess the connection and decide whether it aligns with your values and well-being. While it can be difficult to take such steps, prioritizing your mental and emotional health is always a valid and important choice. Ultimately, addressing the issue directly is an act of courage and self-respect. It demonstrates that you value yourself and the relationship enough to confront problems rather than ignoring or avoiding them. While it may feel uncomfortable or risky at first, the benefits of clear and open communication far outweigh the temporary discomfort. By addressing issues directly, you create opportunities for growth, mutual understanding, and stronger connections, paving the way for healthier and more fulfilling interactions. Choosing your battles wisely is a principle that can save time, energy, and emotional well-being in daily interactions and conflicts. Life is filled with moments where disagreements, frustrations, or provocations can arise, but not every situation warrants a confrontation or demands your attention. The ability to discern which battles are worth engaging in and which can be set aside is a skill that can improve relationships, reduce stress, and keep you focused on what truly matters. The first step in choosing your battles is to assess the significance of the issue at hand. Not every conflict is created equal, and some situations simply do not merit the time and energy it takes to address them. Minor annoyances, misunderstandings, or differences in opinion are often not worth escalating into a full-blown confrontation. For instance, if someone makes a harmless comment that irritates you slightly, it might be more constructive to let it go rather than addressing it directly. By evaluating whether the issue has a meaningful impact on your well-being or long-term goals, you can prioritize what truly deserves your attention. Another important consideration is the relationship you have with the other person involved. In close, meaningful relationships, it can be worth addressing even small issues if they have the potential to build up over time and create tension. On the other hand, in more casual or transactional relationships, it may be more beneficial to let minor grievances slide to maintain harmony and avoid unnecessary conflict. For example, you might choose to address a recurring issue with a close friend because you value the relationship, whereas you might overlook a rude comment from a stranger you will never encounter again. Timing also plays a crucial role in deciding whether to engage in a battle. Even if an issue is significant, addressing it at the wrong time can lead to unproductive or even damaging outcomes. When emotions are high, whether for you or the other person, it can be difficult to have a constructive conversation. Choosing your moment carefully allows you to approach the situation with a clear mind and increases the likelihood of a positive resolution. For instance, if you are frustrated with a coworker's behavior during a meeting, it might be wiser to wait until after the meeting to discuss the matter privately rather than confronting them in the moment. It is also essential to consider the likelihood of a resolution or change in behavior. Some battles are worth fighting because there is a reasonable chance that addressing the issue will lead to improvement. Others may be less fruitful, particularly if the other person is unwilling or unable to change. In such cases, pursuing the matter further may only drain your energy without producing meaningful results. For example, if a family member has a long-standing habit of making critical remarks and has shown little willingness to change despite previous discussions, it might be more productive to focus on managing your own reactions rather than trying to change their behavior. Another key aspect of choosing your battles is to evaluate your own emotional state and capacity. Engaging in conflict requires emotional energy, and it is important to recognize when you are too tired, stressed, or overwhelmed to address an issue effectively. Taking a step back and allowing yourself time to recharge can give you the clarity and strength needed to handle more significant matters later. For example, after a long and stressful day, it might be better to postpone a discussion about a household disagreement until you feel more equipped to approach it constructively. Perspective is an invaluable tool in deciding whether a battle is worth engaging in. Taking a step back and considering the bigger picture can help you determine whether the issue aligns with your values, goals, or priorities. Sometimes small irritations or disagreements may feel significant in the moment but lose their importance when viewed in the context of your overall life. Asking yourself questions like, will this matter in a week, a month, or a year, can help you distinguish between temporary frustrations and issues that truly require attention. In addition to saving energy and reducing stress, choosing your battles wisely can enhance your relationships by preventing unnecessary conflict and fostering mutual respect. Constantly engaging in confrontations over minor issues can create tension and erode trust, particularly in close relationships. On the other hand, demonstrating restraint and focusing on the most important matters shows that you value the relationship enough to avoid needless arguments. For example, letting go of small disagreements with a partner while addressing larger issues demonstrates that you are invested in maintaining harmony and working through meaningful challenges together. Another benefit of choosing your battles wisely is the opportunity to channel your energy into more productive or fulfilling pursuits. By letting go of minor conflicts, you free yourself to focus on personal growth, meaningful relationships, and goals that align with your values. This shift in focus can lead to greater satisfaction and a sense of purpose in your daily life. For instance, instead of dwelling on a colleague's annoying habit, you might redirect your energy into improving your skills or contributing positively to your work environment. Lastly, it is important to acknowledge that choosing not to engage in a battle does not mean avoiding conflict altogether or suppressing your feelings. It is about making intentional choices that serve your well-being and align with your priorities. In some cases, letting go of an issue may involve accepting things as they are and finding ways to cope or adapt. This can be empowering as it allows you to focus on what you can control and let go of what you cannot. In conclusion, choosing your battles wisely is a thoughtful and intentional approach to managing conflict and preserving your emotional well-being. By evaluating the significance of an issue, considering the relationship and timing, and focusing on what aligns with your priorities, you can navigate conflicts more effectively and maintain a sense of balance. While it may require practice and patience, the ability to discern which battles are worth engaging in ultimately leads to healthier relationships, reduced stress, and a greater sense of control over your life. Seeking support when needed is an essential part of navigating life's challenges, including those involving disrespect or conflict. While it's important to develop personal resilience and problem-solving skills, there are times when reaching out for help can provide clarity, encouragement, and solutions that might not be accessible on your own. Recognizing when and how to seek support is not a sign of weakness, but rather an act of strength and self-awareness, demonstrating your commitment to growth, well-being, and maintaining healthy relationships. When faced with situations involving disrespect, you might feel a range of emotions: hurt, anger, confusion, or frustration. These feelings can cloud your judgment, making it difficult to assess the situation objectively or decide on the best course of action. This is where seeking support can be invaluable. Talking to someone you trust allows you to gain perspective on the situation and explore different approaches to addressing the issue. Whether it's a close friend, family member, mentor, or colleague, sharing your thoughts and feelings can help you process your emotions and see things from a new angle. Choosing the right person to confide in is an important step in seeking support. The person you turn to should be someone who listens without judgment, offers thoughtful advice, and genuinely cares about your well-being. Different situations may call for different types of support. For example, if you're dealing with a workplace issue, a trusted colleague or mentor might provide insights specific to your professional environment. If the challenge is personal, a close friend or family member might offer the emotional reassurance you need. In some cases, it may even be beneficial to seek support from a neutral third party, such as a counselor, therapist, or mediator, especially if the situation is complex or emotionally charged. When you approach someone for support, it's helpful to communicate your needs clearly. Let them know whether you're looking for advice, validation, or simply someone to listen. This sets expectations and helps the other person understand how they can best assist you. For instance, you might say, "I need someone to listen to me right now. I'm not sure what to do about this situation alternatively." If you're seeking guidance, you could ask, "Have you ever dealt with something like this? I'd love to hear your thoughts on how to handle it." Being upfront about your needs ensures the conversation is productive and focused. Support doesn't always have to come from individuals within your immediate circle. Expanding your network to include support groups, community organizations, or professional associations can also provide valuable resources. These groups often consist of people who have faced similar challenges and can offer empathy, shared experiences, and practical advice. For example, if you're dealing with disrespect in a professional setting, joining a peer group or attending workshops on workplace communication can give you tools and strategies to navigate the situation effectively. Online forums and communities can also be helpful, as they allow you to connect with others who understand your experiences, even if they're not physically close to you. In addition to seeking advice or validation, support can also take the form of encouragement and accountability. Sharing your goals or intentions with someone you trust can help you stay committed to addressing the issue constructively. For example, if you've decided to have a difficult conversation with someone who has disrespected you, telling a friend or mentor about your plan can provide the motivation to follow through. They can also check in with you afterward, offering reassurance or feedback on how you handled the situation. Professional support, such as therapy or coaching, can be particularly beneficial when dealing with repeated or deeply impactful instances of disrespect. A trained professional provides a safe and confidential space to explore your feelings, identify patterns in your interactions, and develop strategies for setting boundaries and asserting yourself. Therapy in particular can help you address any underlying emotional triggers that might make you more sensitive to disrespect or conflict. By working with a therapist, you can build resilience and improve your ability to navigate challenging situations with confidence and grace. Sometimes seeking support is not just about addressing the immediate issue, but also about building a stronger support system for the future. Strengthening your relationships with friends, family, or colleagues fosters a sense of connection and mutual trust, making it easier to seek help when needed. Simple actions like expressing gratitude, showing interest in others' lives, and being available to support them in return can nurture these connections over time. When people know you value and care for them, they are more likely to be there for you during difficult moments. It's also important to remember that seeking support is not a one-time action, but an ongoing process. Life presents new challenges constantly, and different situations may require different types of assistance. Being proactive about seeking support when needed allows you to address problems before they escalate and ensures you have a network of people to lean on when times are tough. This approach fosters a sense of community and reminds you that you don't have to face life's challenges alone. For some, seeking support can feel uncomfortable or vulnerable. Cultural norms, personal pride, or past experiences might lead you to believe that you should handle everything on your own. However, reaching out for help is an act of courage and wisdom. It acknowledges that we are all interconnected and that sharing our struggles with others can lead to shared strength and growth. Vulnerability, when met with understanding and empathy, deepens relationships and creates opportunities for healing and resolution. In conclusion, seeking support when needed is a vital